NIO's looking juicy, baby. We have an update today on NIO stock. We recently had an analyst from Deutsche Bank come out and talk about some of the key factors as to why NIO's looking real good for the next few weeks or months ahead, guys. In today's video, I'll give you guys some price targets for the near future and give you some price targets for the long-term future as well. Now, before I get started, baby, smash that like, hit that subscribe. I'm going to jump into my screen right behind me here. Let's dive right into it. NIO. So Deutsche Bank, man, is coming after NIO recently. So Deutsche Bank, NIO has several potential positive developments going into year end. This is great. Deutsche Bank is highly reputable. It's a huge world bank, okay? So whatever they say, we got to at least pay attention to it. Now, NIO, you got to remember, it's going to ride a little bit with what the market is doing. So in this video, I'll quickly cover the markets. Won't talk too much about it, but if we're not keeping the markets in mind, it's not going to be in our favor for NIO. Now, when we talk about the Chinese markets, there's a few things we got to consider, especially with COVID lockdowns. Let's talk about the three key areas this analyst is looking forward to in NIO. So first, while the weekly registration data so far in December has been soft, we believe delivery volume will ramp up considerably over the remainder of the month. Now, NIO recently achieved a tremendous milestone of 300,000 vehicle deliveries. This is crazy. So the 300,000th vehicle on Monday, as the making of this video, has been produced, and this vehicle will be delivered in 2 to 3 weeks. Pretty good turnaround there. So considering all that, right, cumulative deliveries were at 274,000 exiting November, which is still great, and this suggests production is ramping up nicely, and 4Q guidance is very much achievable. So they're achieving their guidance, right? They're achieving their projections. They're staying on track. And guys, remember, this is considering all the COVID issues that China was experiencing. They literally had camps full of COVID people, and they are still producing, man. NIO does not shut down. Second, the company will be hosting its annual NIO Day event on December 24th. So on Christmas Eve, NIO will be hosting their NIO Day. This is huge. This is typically where they unveil a lot of new products. Now, you guys got to remember, a lot of those new products, they're already kind of baked into the price, right? If the market knows that they're coming, it's not as much of a surprise. So with that, you could see a buy the hype, sell the news ramp up period here, especially for this week. Again, it's going to depend market conditions, but keep that in mind. And like I said, at this event, they're expected to unveil 2 new models, the ES8 and the EC7 SUVs, which will replace the existing first gen models and will be well received by consumers. I'm sure they will be. NIO is a great company. Keep this in mind, guys. Investors, traders, whatever it is, NIO is subsidized by the government. The Chinese government wants to achieve 0 emissions on the roads by 2035, and they're letting NIO front run this effort along with some other companies as well. But NIO's kind of like the Tesla of China. Now, Tesla does have a tremendous market share in China, so keep that in mind, but NIO's really changing the game. And they also have deals with Sinopec, okay? Sinopec is a tremendous company, okay? And with this deal, they're looking to place multiple battery swap locations at various Sinopec locations throughout China. This is big, baby. And third, we anticipate further encouraging news related to China COVID reopen, helping sentiment and potentially a final resolution from the US PCAOB on the audit standards for China-based companies listed in the US. So this is great. A lot of good catalysts here, okay? They're expected to hit their projected deliveries on Q4. They will have NIO Day coming up, which is huge for them. That's perhaps the biggest event for the company of the entire year. Then you have COVID reopenings happening. And then on top of that, you have a resolution with audit standards when it comes to Chinese-based companies in the US stock market. So this is huge for NIO. A lot of good outlook here. Now let's take a look at some price forecasts here. Again, you can take it how you leave it here. I don't pay too much attention to this because you never really know what's going to happen. But currently they're looking at a high price of $34 by year end of 2023, an average price of $16.81 and a low of $11.27. All in all, generally speaking, NIO is cheap. I mean, it's close to the low, and the average it's not too far from as well. NIO's trading at $11.06 as of close today, so in my opinion, it's highly discounted. How do we find out more? We take a look at the charts, baby. In this next part of the video, let's take a look at the NIO charts here, give you guys some price targets for the future, and we'll go from there. So like I mentioned, guys, strong outlook for NIO ahead. I don't see a reason to not pay attention to this, especially if you're looking to just simply trade it. I've traded options with NIO in the past before and found lots of success. The main reason is because it's a highly liquid company, okay? It's a fairly large company, about an $18 billion market cap as of making this video, and there's a lot of potential ahead. Don't sleep on NIO. Let's dive into the charts. So here's NIO on the daily chart. This is the higher time frame. The main reason I want to highlight this is because since we hit that all-time high of about $67 of a trading price here, we have been falling in kind of this wedge here, and that makes sense. NIO falls in kind of the growth stock category, right? So a lot of growth stocks, they're taking a huge hit lately, and they're starting to become so discounted that naturally supply and demand should kick in at some point in time. Now, as of recently, NIO has made some attempts to approach that trend line resistance here, and if we break above that, baby, we're gonna move real nice. One thing I want to key in on though is this potential bear flag pattern here in the short term. So we can see some more downside with NIO, just being realistic about it. I mean, think about it, guys. The stock market was pretty red today. It's probably going to be pretty red for the next few weeks, but there is still optimism with the potential Santa rally this year. And on top of that, guys, it's so oversold. If this bear flag does satisfy, if we continue to sell through and have a little bit of follow through to the downside, just a little bit more here, I just think NIO is so heavily discounted, guys. I mean, the thing's at $11 a share. The company is fundamentally worth more than $11 a share right now. So this company is sitting extremely discounted. Let's talk about price targets real quick here. Now, assuming we have this bear flag and assuming proper market conditions, I'm not going to give you guys a bias here necessarily. All I'm going to tell you is what are the price targets for both the upward and downward directions, so we can be ready for both sides of the trade here. And like I said, NIO is good for trading options on, so you can look to potentially grab some put options here if you want to short. Not financial advice, but the opportunity is there. First of all, we need to break this prior day's high or the previous significant high on the higher time frame here. That puts us right at $14 on the money, guys. Watch, $14 for a huge psychological level for NIO. That's where we capped out last time, about earlier this December, so keep that in mind. Now, I also noticed something here on the short term as well that we can pay attention to. So NIO currently has a little bit of a gap right here that formed a few days back, late November. We need to pay attention to this region here. Is definitely an area of interest, and you can see as of recently, the price actually came down to it. As of today, the price actually came down to it and respected that gap on the money here. So if we do see some downward continuation, I'd expect us to flood into that gap here. Now, if you are targeting the gap, we need to break below that 1082 or the low of today as the making of this video at about 1083. Get below 1083, and then we'll fall right into that gap here. I expect price to move through it quickly, and then you can go for a trim or a price target of about $10.62. Okay, keep those levels in mind. That is huge. Now, since NIO pulled back today, okay, and the market's been selling off the last couple days here, I would expect some potential relief in the overall broader market soon, okay, at least in the major indices. So if we get a little bit of that relief here, okay, we can look at some levels here in the short term near the upside here. Now, right here on NIO, we do have a little bit of a fair value gap here, and if you don't know what that is, or if you want to know how to trade this strategy, be sure to check out my private Discord link in the description. Essentially, this is an imbalance in volume, right? It's an imbalance in price, and the price likes to rebalance. So if we don't get that favorable gap to the downside, right, which is also an imbalance, we can look for some upside movement as well. So the first price target towards this area is going to be 1142. Okay, so we can come right up to that and hit it hard, or contest it and then get rejected. But if we do start to satisfy and fill through that, I'm looking for the next target or trim level of about $11.62. And then of course, I'd like to break the prior day's high just before $14, which is going to place us at $12.38. So again, to repeat, if we start moving to the upside, you're going to watch 1142 first, then you're going to watch 1162 for potential trim. I would expect price to move fluid through that area if we do break, and then we're going to watch 1238 on our way up to $14, baby. We need to get there. Now, if we do start selling off some more, it's okay. And I do want to keep in mind that bear flag. So if we sell off, we could see a lot more momentum here. Level we need to break first though is going to be that 1083, just to repeat, and then 1061 is going to be your ultimate price target to the downside. And if you want to follow along with the trades and signals, be sure to check out that link down in the description, guys. I got you covered on NIO. Other than that, I'll catch you in the next video, baby. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and I'll see you soon.